One of the best things about the Resolve micro panel is its size and its portability, but that comes with the downside of not having a ton of buttons right here on the panel to speed up your color grading process. So what I and what a lot of people do is use a Stream Deck to expand the capability of the panel in a way that's totally customizable. So in today's video, I wanted to go through how I've got my Stream Deck set up and how I use it to speed up my workflow in Davinci Resolve. On the main page here are all of the programs that I opened often enough that I felt that they deserve their own macro. In my current setup here, I've got Davinci Resolve. This is just a macro that opens the Resolve software. On the top left here, I've got one of my favorite macros for when I'm doing color critical or extremely nuanced color work. And this is a macro that enables a program that is called Shade. And what that does is it allows you to dim your monitors with the touch of a button. So if I'm really needing to focus on something here on the Flanders monitor, but these two monitors here are just putting out a little bit too much light, or it's just messing with my eyes a little bit in order to do this work, I can just tap this button here and the monitors will dim. You can set how dim you want your monitors to go with the simple user interface here. But I like to keep it here because it's comfortable enough to see the user interface while I'm working if I wanted to work in the dimmer environment. Next to the shade button are the camera specific presets for the commercial node tree that I use. And this just allows me to quickly set the IDT that is camera specific to the footage that I'm looking at. To the right of that is a commercial node tree that I'm currently using quite a bit. It's just called BSH, or Blue Suede Hues at the moment. And there's a back arrow should I want to go out to the main menu and fire up Spotify or Massive for file delivery. On the next row here, I've got two macros for the viewer. So if we are in the color page and I want to take a look at these two shots side by side for whatever reason, I can just quickly fire this up, and in the UI, I can now see the shots side by side with just a simple key press. Next to that, I've got a node ripple macro. So if I've done, let's say, a change to maybe the hue here on this shot, I want to apply that change that I've made to that node across all the other shots, I can just select those other shots, hit that, and that will ripple the correction that I've made on that node to every other shot. It's just a faster way of doing things. Next to that, I've got a few macros for the media page and edit page. These are just functions that I use quite a bit. If someone has given me a flat file like a ProRes Quad 4 or similar that we need to get into Resolve, get it quickly cut up, and then start grading, I can bring that material in, make a new bin with this function here. That'll be our new bin. We'll just call this new footage. Let's bring in this into the new footage bin that we just made. And from there, I will make a new timeline using the selected footage with that macro there. We'll just call this sample footage. And then from there, we can fire up that into the edit page, and we can auto detect all of the cuts with a single button. To the right of the new bin, I've got a CPU monitor, which just is more or less there to make me frustrated to see how little of the CPU that my computer is using during rendering processes. Moving up to the next row on the left, I've got my printer lights here. So we can turn that on, and on the left side of the panel are the full point increments. And on the right-hand side of the panel, I've got my quarter point. So when we're doing some minor adjustments, these are the settings that I like there. Top right, we've got the back arrow. This here is to turn on and off the printer lights. Sometimes you fire up Resolve and the printer lights are just automatically off for some reason. It was an issue in previous versions of Resolve to the point where I have this macro here, but honestly, I think it's just been a bug that's been worked out, so I don't really use it. This is in the viewer. This is a macro to make the viewer here larger. So when I'm doing like face refinement or any detail-oriented tracking, or if we're just doing like a custom mask around a shape as it moves through a shot, this allows me to get in and out of a larger view so I can get in here and see what the heck I'm doing, back out, and it's just a faster way to get in and out of the viewer to do that kind of detailed work. To the right of that are my selections. So I use these quite a bit when we're doing power windows. And what this will do is just turn on and off the selection so I can see it both in color or black and white. So if we're doing a circle and I'm just not sure I want it that soft and it's easier to see in black and white here, then I can do that and knock it down. And if I want to see particularly what that is affecting in the image, sometimes it's easier to see that in the gray version because you can see the footage underneath it. Next to that, we've got Save Project. I got into a habit of saving projects constantly because in older versions of Resolve, they were a little bit less stable and you had to save manually more often. More or less now, that little bug has been taken care of, but I still like to have it as a manual save. As I've finished something complicated or complex, I want to make sure that it's saved in case anything happens afterwards. I just hit that manual save button. Below that is the export project, and that will just let me export the DRP to a folder of my choice. On the bottom right here, we've got our settings. That just lets me pop up this settings menu so I can make sure that my frame rate, my timeline resolution, or anything else, the color management, quickly accessible, and I can just use the button above it to back out of that. Conversely, if I'm switching in between projects, I can just use the home button here to open up the project library. Across the bottom row here, I've got buttons for the pages that I use the most in Davinci Resolve. So that would be the media page, the edit page, the color page, Fairlight if we're doing any audio work, and the deliver page. That's how I use my Stream Deck to kind of enhance the capability of the micro panel itself. And I think the combination of the two, utilizing them together, really lets me just keep my eyes on my work. I just remembered I didn't go through the Stream Deck menu. You can make any adjustment to any of these pages through the Stream Deck menu here. The coolest thing is you can kind of customize this any way that you want. So I just have a simple setup here with my Davinci Resolve menu and then the printer lights. All of these are macros, but if we go to the dashboard, all of these are programs. So you can just set these buttons to open any program of your choosing. The real power, I think, with the Stream Deck to me is all of the macros in here that just speed up everything that I'm doing. And it's to the point now where I can just kind of go by feel and execute commands just as I'm thinking of them rather than fumbling around through menus and that kind of thing. If it saves you a second here and a second there on a project, all of those seconds compound, and then at the end of like a year, you've saved yourself an immense amount of time. That's why I love it so much. Honestly, it's one of the best things that I've added to the color suite in quite a while. I love how flexible it is. I love the capability that it has, and it really does feel like an extension of the panel itself. So that's it. That's the Stream Deck tour. I hope you got something out of this one. I hope it gave you some ideas on how you can customize your own Stream Deck to complement your workflow, and I will see you in the next one.